Hi, so today for my explanation number two, I'm gonna talk about an interview that I chose from the Glows Theater Muse of Fire. And I chose John Leguizamo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I chose him because I feel like he is a very raw actor. And in his interview, he said a lot of interesting things that I was able to like connect to him way more. Um, well, first of all, he is an internationally known actor, comedian, writer, producer, and a voice actor. And he was also very known for his performance as Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet. And this was a movie that he filmed, and he was part of the cast. He talked about like how he was related to like William Shakespeare from his youth till now. So I really want to touch on that because that's something that I found really interesting. Um, of course, he's an American actor, so he started studying William Shakespeare when he was in high school, but he said that he couldn't like really relate to him, or like he didn't really pay much attention to him whatsoever. Like it's something that you get taught, but he wasn't like into his readings and into his writings. Um then when he went to college, he did a performance and he performed Shakespeare, and he actually found that he was able to connect to Shakespeare way more than before. And this was because he could like tell the language and he could understand the language in a different way. So he that's when he started to like kind of like acknowledge Shakespeare, even though he first said that when he wanted to be an actor, he wasn't thinking that he could be able to perform Shakespeare or to be a character that William Shakespeare have wrote. Um, then he got the opportunity to be in Midsummer Night's Dream, and this was performed in New York. And that's when he really saw himself being really involved in Shakespeare's language, because at first he said that it was really hard to understand the language, and like that's why he didn't pay much attention to it. um but then with that play, even though it was really tough to understand and really hard to perform, he was able to like see what Shakespeare was trying to say with his words and all of that stuff. So I thought that was very interesting because for me, kind of it's the same. I first didn't really like encounter Shakespeare a lot. Like I knew about him, I know about his plays and stuff, but I never really depth really hard into it until like later. And especially with this class, I found Shakespeare way more appealing than I used to before, and I can find more, I can relate more to his plays, and like I can understand them better now. um so yeah, he also was, when he got cast for Romeo and Juliet, it was a very hard rehearsal and a very hard casting. And I can relate to him because of the way that he talks about this as an actor, because myself, I'm studying theater, so I'm more like I'm appealing to the actors. So I think that's why I found him really interesting, because he said it was really hard for him, but even though it was hard, he was able to do it and able to be part of the production. And after reading and studying and like researching all this plays, he was able to find himself enjoying doing this. And then he also goes and talks about something that I found really, really, really interesting, and it's the way that British people and American people interpret Shakespeare and perform Shakespeare. He said there's a lot of like maybe not rebellion, but like some people say the British perform it better and then Americans do it better. But he actually sat down, and then when he was talking about it, he said like the pros and cons that both of the nationalities have while performing Shakespeare. And I thought that's very interesting to see because I've never saw it in that perspective. I've never saw like the way the British people act and interpret and perform this Shakespeare plays. It's different from how Americans do it, even though it's the same script, even though it's the same story. Some people find it more appealing for British people, some people find it more appealing for Americans, but at the end, like, everyone has their own interpretation of Shakespeare because that's what it is. You can interpret Shakespeare the way you want to interpret that. So I found that really interesting from him. And that was a topic that I was intrigued when he was on this interview. He's also said that for a Shakespeare play to be as good as, or a Shakespeare film to be as good as it should be, it's a teamwork. It's not, oh, for example, I'm playing or I'm doing a play of, let's say Henry IV, for example, that we read this semester. If I'm the king, then I'm going to, if I'm a good as a king, or if I'm good as Henry, then the play is going to be good. Not necessarily with King Lear. If I'm King Lear, I'm the only one who has to do it right in order for this to work. And it's not like that. It's actually a very important work from the cast. All the cast involved has to be in the same page and understand Shakespeare kind of like the same way. And, like the same actors have to understand the interpretation of that play the way they all want it to be. The director, of course, but most interesting was like he would want to have an acting coach, or like people have a good acting coach for it to be good, because Shakespeare is tough, and he said it's really hard, but if you have all those things combined, then you can do a really, really good performance. And all the other thing that he said that I found interesting is that he likes drama, tragedies, and historian plays, and he doesn't find the comedy plays really appealing, which I thought it was funny and interesting because everyone has their own way to interpret. But like I said, I kind of find it like the same way. I found like the drama and the tragedies more appealing in some way, even though I'm almost like a more romantic person, if you would like to say. He said that one of his two favorite Shakespeare, if you can call it favorite, because he has a lot, it was the Scottish play and Hamlet. And so I thought that's pretty cool, and like because I also find the Scottish play to be really, really interesting and deep. So yeah.